So we're going to do a Gaskin story about getting engaged. I'll start. You can interject anytime.
Sounds great.
So we were dating for 4 weeks or so, and I was sitting in Doctrine and Covenants class trying to figure out how to propose to Nikki because I had nothing better to do in that class. And I had already prayed about it and I received very, very strong answer that that it was a viable option and very much beneficial to my eternal salvation to propose to Nikki. So I did, but I wanted to do it in a special way, and so I was doodling in Doctrine and Covenants class at BYU, and decided I would make her these huge letters. These are each 40 or 50-foot letters made out of butcher paper, and at least that was the grand plan. And so I should probably go through this in detail. Uh, I met her parents like twice probably,
Probably twice.
and I went up to her place and I wanted to propose to her parents. Her dad wasn't home yet, and then Nikki was there and wasn't supposed to be there. It makes it kind of difficult to make a surprise proposal.
I was supposed to go to my fencing class,
That's
but
right.
I wanted to hang out with you.
Yay! Yeah, so I was like, okay, because I couldn't think of a good excuse to reject the person I was about to propose to keep her from hanging out with me. So we went to her parents' house. My excuse was to get a haircut from her mother, I think.
Yep.
And so I asked her where Alan was, and she said, oh, he's just running late for work, or from work. So he gets home while I wanted to not have the haircut until he got home, but he was taking so long, so I went and got the haircut, and as soon as I get in the chair, obviously he comes home, and so I'm getting my haircut. He comes home, and the first thing he says is, I'm steamed. He was really upset.
And he never gets mad.
Yeah, he's a really kind-hearted, fluffy guy, happy guy. So he was upset about something at work, and that wasn't, that didn't bode well for my intentions. Especially since he didn't know me, and here I am taking his precious daughter. Anywho, so after the haircut, luckily Nikki was sort of distracted down in the basement, so I went outside because Alan had gone outside to pick up sticks in the yard. And we'd had a storm recently, and there were a bunch of sticks everywhere. And so he was picking up sticks, just letting off some steam. And I asked if I could chat with him. And you never want a boy who's dating your daughter to ask if he can chat with you. So he knew what it was about. And so I told him right off the bat, I love Nikki and I want to spend the rest of my life with her. I want to take her to the temple. And I just thought I'd run it by you first. And he says nothing. And Alan, he's not an intimidating man unless you're asking to marry his daughter. He was a good deal taller than me. He was wearing his spring shoes, I believe, and I was barefoot. So that put about 6 inches difference between us. And he was angry about other things. And now he had a good reason to be angry at me. Anyway, so he didn't say yes. He says, here's what you need to understand about Nikki. And he said some things about Nikki, how much he loved her and cared for her, and how special she was, and how if I ever did anything to upset her in any way, I would be ground beef. And so, but he says, since you said you take her to the temple, fine, or not fine, I'm happy for you, let's make it happen. So then he walks out front, and I follow him, and I say, or he asks me, so what are your ideas for proposal? And I show him this. And he laughs, and he's like, well, that's very ambitious. Where do you want to do it? And I said, well, I want to put it out on a field somewhere, and then maybe like fly over it in a hot air balloon or something. And happened to be the week of the Freedom Festival, which in Utah it's this big balloon festival. And so he says, well, I happen to know some guys. Let me go talk to them and see if this is even feasible. So taking for granted that Alan could do anything, and it was going to happen anyway because it was meant to be, I went ahead and purchased 2,200 feet of butcher paper. And that's not right.
You told me you needed some butcher paper for a class project.
That's right. This was a
So you
Doctrine and
asked
Covenants
me-
project.
You asked me where to go, so I told you, oh, go to Expedex Paper Store.
That's
It's at
right.
this address.
So I did. I got a whole ream of 4-foot wide butcher paper. And then at 5 a.m. on July 3rd, 2004, I went and I woke up and then woke up all of my buddies. I hadn't told anybody anything because I didn't want it to get out. Because in Singles Words, people just talk about stuff. Like, there is no secrecy whatsoever in Singles Words. So I didn't say anything to anyone until like 5 a.m. that day. Luckily, Alan said, "Hey, well, there are these guys who might need some help setting up their balloon, and if it works out that their sponsors don't come, then maybe if you help them, then you might be able to go up in the balloon." I, of course, took that as you'll be able to go up in a balloon. And so anyway, 5 a.m. I wake up all my roommates and say, "Hey, follow me." And naturally, when your roommate says that, you wake up and you follow him at 5 a.m. And so they followed me across the street. We laid out. I showed them this diagram and said, "Here's what you need to do. You need to lay it all out. Here, let's cut the strips." And we had big wire, and we used that as staples in the grass. And unfortunately, it was also a stadium of fire that night, and so they were using that field for parking and various other things. And the BYU police did not appreciate us commandeering a whole field right outside the Stadium of Fire. So my buddies held them off. We had only gotten up the N and the I by the time it was 6 o'clock and I needed to go get Nikki. So I had a lot of faith in my buddies. So I said, "Here it is. I'll leave it to you. Do it." And so I ran back, got Nikki, and I don't know what happened that morning with you, but
Well, we had talked about going to the balloon festival a few
That's
days
right.
before, and I was like, "Oh, have you ever been in a balloon?" This was completely coincidental. And so I said, "Yeah, it's really fun. We always did it as a kid. I got to fly in a hot air balloon a couple times because we helped with, or my dad helped, and then he got us up there somehow. He knows everybody. So
I never
it'd be a fun thing to do." So we had planned on going to see the balloons this morning. And my family always goes, so my parents were going to go meet us there, and it's going to be like a family thing. We always get donuts, and so he was going to pick me up at like 6:15 or whatever, and we were going to just drive over and see the balloons because it's a really cool thing. So I had no idea what was going on, and it was really early, and so I slept in a little bit, and anyway, I threw on some old clothes and stuck my hair in a ponytail. Had no makeup on, I'm sure. Anyway, I might have curled my eyelashes or something. Anyway, I looked like trash.
She was gorgeous.
So, yeah, he picked us up.
And then we went
picked
the
me up.
long way around the field so she wouldn't see what all my roommates
Yeah,
were
so
doing.
we exited the parking lot of Alta. Instead of going
back
on
end.
University Avenue, we went back onto Canyon, and I thought, this is weird, but sure, we can go this way. I don't know.
Scenic
It's
route.
also the parade today, so maybe it's blocked off or something. He probably knows what's going on. So we drove back around over to the balloon field.
So we make it to the balloon field, and Alan meets us there. And it's like that scene in Emperor's New Groove with Kronk when he's like, "Right." I meet him, and he knows why we're there. I know why we're there. Nikki doesn't know
I have
why
no
we're there.
idea. My mom's there and Natalie is there.
And we haven't told Natalie yet, I don't think.
I don't know. I don't
Anyway,
know. She may have known.
I don't know if
My
Alan
mom
probably
could have
told
told her
Diana.
that
Who knows?
My mom knew what was going on.
Okay. So we were all winking at each other and right kind of talk. And we get over to the balloonist. Turns out he did need help. And so while we're doing it, helping him out, I try to get a moment alone with him and say, "Hey, by the way, I'm proposing to my girlfriend today. It'd be real swell if we could go up with you." And he says, well, if my sponsors don't show up and they're not here yet, well, then you can go. And so, luckily, one of our little guardian angel children must have given him the flu, and they didn't show up. So we got to go up. And so while we're in this tiny little basket, the three of us, the balloonist and us two,
It's about all that'll fit up
yeah, it's
there.
really tiny. I tried to get a private word with the balloonist, which was difficult. And I said, if you could just float us up north a ways, that would be real handy. I've made something up there I'd like her to see. And I'm doing this while she can't hear, hopefully.
I didn't hear anything.
We'd never discussed marriage before.
That is true.
So, anyway, we floated south.
Because it's up to the direction of the wind.
Yeah,
You
he
have
said,
no control.
son, you don't know how this works. You go where the wind blows you. So we floated south. As we floated up, here's the sign. I'm supposed to be going through these pictures. Here's the sign my buddies put out. You can see Reba McEntire was at the Stadium of Fire that year. But they're about 40, 50-foot letters, something like that.
They did a very good job.
They did. But we started floating up above the balloons. And
My mom gave me a disposable camera, the kind you wind up and you get 24
because
pictures.
I didn't bring a camera.
We don't.
I didn't
We
have
didn't
a camera.
have cameras. There were no such things as
No cell phone cameras.
yeah. No, we
We're
didn't even
old.
have cell phones. No digital cameras or anything like that. So this is taken from. This is our view from the balloon basket.
With
So-
a little $25 Kodak.
No, it was like $6.99.
$6.99.
24 exposure. So anyway, this is us going up. It was really cool. Just like I remembered as a kid. Yeah.
But she wanted to look at Alta, where we lived, which was north, which was right next to the sign. And I didn't want her to see it yet because we were at a terrible angle, and I didn't want it to sort of be, early.
Right.
I wanted it to be just right, be right over it.
So he kept saying, "Oh, let's try to find the house I grew up in," which is south. And anyway, so he directed.
Yeah, so we
my
looked
view
south
the other direction.
a lot.
A lot.
Um,
Oh, the lake's over there. La, la,
but
la.
she did look over toward the sign, and she even saw it. And she said, "Oh, what is that?" You know, I can't remember what you said.
So
but
I could see there was something, but we were too low that I couldn't read it. And
I think you said, "Is that something for the Stadium of Fire?"
I assumed it was something for the parade
Oh,
because the
parade.
parade was also that morning, and like, oh, maybe the parade comes up this far. I have no idea. So anyway.
I immediately
so
then
listening.
pointed out the south again
So I didn't think much about it.
because you couldn't read it. We were at this angle where you just couldn't read
Yeah.
the letters. Anyway, so miraculously we went up a little bit more and started floating north. And by the time we had floated over the sign, or up until that time, we hadn't really looked back north. We had just been chatting and focusing on south.
Mhm.
Anyway, so we get right over it. Oh, there's another pretty view. And this is what we see. Nikki can tell you.
So I had seen the letters, but I couldn't read them. So I turn around and I see this, and the thought process that goes through my head took about 2 seconds is all.
Which
But
is a long time in thinking time.
Yeah, so my thought process was, oh, awesome, I can finally read those words. So I read them. Nikki, will you marry me? Wow, someone's getting engaged today. That's really cool. Oh my goodness, my name's Nikki. What? So
And there it was.
so I look over at James and he has the ring box out. He just all on cue, just perfect. It was good.
And then I said, "Will you?" And the guy pulled the jet for the fire.
And it's just so loud you can't hear anything. So I couldn't hear anything. So I said,
What?
what? I felt kind of
As if she didn't know what I was asking her. So I asked again if she would marry me. And she said
So I said,
yes.
yes.
She didn't think too long.
No, I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. I don't think you thought it all. I think you just said yes and gave me a hug, and then we felt awkward because there was a pilot there, but she wouldn't.
He was really
smooch me.
nice. I think I kissed you. He said, I was trying to just turn the other way and not be really involved, so I was kind of invisible as you can be in a 4x4 foot basket. But he said, but you didn't scream or anything. I thought you would be screaming or like so excited. I don't know. Anyway, but I'm not like that. So there
She
you go.
said yes.
So,
And then we
That was good enough.
floated down and landed in someone's yard or on a street or something.
yeah, so this is another picture we took with a little camera. And then we had the walkie-talkie that we talked to his wife, who was our balloon chaser. She drove a red Dodge Ram pickup truck. So we were floating. We landed in a yard. It's like a lot next to a house.
Yeah.
Up kind of by that really rich neighborhood.
Yeah.
University. Anyway, so she just followed us, and we my parents came too. They met us there. I don't know how they knew.
And they had bubbly.
Yeah,
Maybe
they brought.
followed her.
Yeah, probably. And then we drank some sparkling cider in little
That's great.
plastic champagne glasses. I think the pilot's wife bought them for us.
Oh, maybe.
Clara. Terry was
that's
our pilot, and Clara was his wife. Super nice.
So my buddies, they also took pictures of us through a telescope.
Oh, that's right.
I don't have those with me. And they said the cops came and told them they couldn't be on the field and had to take all the paper away. And they said, wait, just a few more minutes, please, because they were watching us through the telescope. And they saw that we had proposed and it was good, and then they ripped it all up and put
Do you
it
have
away.
those pictures?
I have those pictures. They're on the external hard drive.
Oh, okay.
Next time. Anyway, so then we got married in the Salt Lake Temple,
Yay.
and we're a happy
Yay.
family. Yay.
And that's little baby.
That's baby Gwen. The end.
Ta-da!